Hello guys, I hope you're all doing amazing. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is how to run faster for longer. One of the most common questions that I get is how do I improve my running speed, fitness, to be able to go for longer. So we're talking half marathons, we're talking marathons. I mean, we could be talking 10Ks. We could be talking about everything. I just think it's a really valuable video that I sit down with you today. Minnie looks absolutely fuming. That I sit down with you today and I go over. So I have an 18K run this morning. It is an aerobic run, nice and chilled. And I'm basically gonna go for the run. And when we get back, we're gonna talk about all the different things that you can do personally to improve your running endurance, basically, and also your running speed and everything about that. Time to run. So I am dressed like this and it is not warm. It is not warm, everybody. Oh my God. I'm also wearing headphones. I don't usually wear headphones, but my brain is like a million miles an hour at the moment and I just need a little bit of distraction. Oh my God, it's cold. To be fair, it's actually quite warm here, which is so nice. Yeah, so I've got an 18K this morning, easy aerobic, which we're gonna chat about in today's video. I wouldn't usually do a long run on a Tuesday, but my training's changing quite a lot at the moment for Hiiii, but I still wanna get in a long run a week. So I'm running about 60K a week at the moment, which is like, I mean, probably a tiny bit too much for like Hiiii focus. However, she's a hybrid girly. She's not just a Hiiii girl. So I never know when I'm gonna have a marathon, you know? Always gotta be ready, but yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful run. It's a gorgeous day. Whew. I do have to say, my legs are absolutely beaten up and battered. I did a really hard hour and a half leg session yesterday, like legs and Hiiii, and I can feel them. They're not sore, they just feel worked, like they just feel really heavy. This is so beautiful. Woohoo. Gorgeous run. I'm hoping my legs are easing into it. I've just done over 4K, so I've got 14 to go. Really, really hot actually. I don't know I was cold before, I think it's because I was stood in the shade. But yeah, whew. Heart rate is currently 142. Pace is 4:45. Probably need to pull it back a little bit, but I'm just going with the flow. So we are 11K in. Heart rate is, woo, there's a bush, 148. Nice and warm. My hips keep getting like a little bit sore. My rehab is going so well. Considering I was injured for so long, we're doing good. We're doing good. 18K, 124, 4:42 pace. So that I ended up going faster at the end because I just really wanted to get home. I thought my hip came out of place. I had a really weird feeling in my hip. I was like, I think I've dislocated my hip. I've not. It's just still a little bit weak. But that was lovely. I'm gonna go and shower, sort my stuff out, and then let's really discuss how you can run faster for longer. Another thing that is actually so important, and I will touch on this now because I'm literally about to eat, is hydration and also fueling food. I feel like my hair looks a little bit mad. I'm trying to be a curly girl. Nutrition is a huge piece of the pie when it comes to running. Now, I eat a lot of food. This is just, I'm gonna have 4 bagels. I eat a lot of food because I do train a lot and I'm a hungry gal. She's a hungry gal. But when we're talking about running faster for longer, it is actually really important that you're fueling yourself properly. Specifically when we are running for those longer sessions. So I had an 18K this morning and I just, it's not the longest run for me, but in this block that I'm focusing on Hiiii, I'm not really gonna go past 18 to 20K because I don't need to. In a marathon block, I'm going up to 35K. In an ultra block, God knows, I went up to 60K in my 100K ultra. So it's different for obviously everything you're doing. But across the board, fueling and nutrition is so important for running. Like, I think it is one of the most important things that changed the game for me in terms of how I'm feeling and how I'm performing on a day-to-day basis. Better food, nutritious, nutritionally dense, carby, high in protein, I'm getting my salts in, getting my electrolytes in, the better that I have felt. I'm not gonna tell you what to eat, I'm not gonna tell you how much to eat, but I do think you need to be really aware of your nutrition and your calorie intake when you are looking to run faster for longer. If you're training for a marathon, my God, it is so freaking important to be looking at your nutrition. If you're training for Hiiii, it's important to look at your nutrition. Being a hybrid athlete, I think nutrition is one of the biggest pieces of the pies. So that was just a quick note whilst I'm quickly making my bagels before I sit down with you and go go over a few more of like the nitty gritty. That was peanut butter. Okay, now we are sitting down and I can basically go over everything with you that I have, I guess, essentially put into practice over the last 3 years about running faster for longer and essentially just like running in general. I know a lot of my content is hybrid day in the lives and doing these challenges and doing these crazy things, but I also think it's really important for me to share with you kind of the background into doing those different things. One of the first things that I think is important for me to say is I've always been very, very sporty and very, very athletic. So from a really young age, I've had that background in sport of a really high aerobic capacity. And the reason that I say that, and it's not to say that I find things easy at all, like I really, really don't, and I push myself so much, but in terms of where I guess my fitness level is, it's always been quite high before I started using like YouTube and Instagram and stuff, because I used to be a competitive swimmer and I've always been in sport. So that's something to be noteworthy of, just so it's like not a comparison thing ever to anyone. I'm going to touch on comparison later, but just to put it out there straight away. So when I first got into running, and it is around 3 years ago now, properly got into running really, I used to basically go out on every single run and just wanted to PB and max out and go absolutely hell for leather. And I just used to be like shattered, and I wasn't really improving on these times and these runs that I was doing. I was going out and, you know, I was putting everything into it, and I was getting like a 5k PB, a 10k PB, and maxing out this and maxing out that, and my heart rate was through the roof. I didn't really understand heart rate training or zones or anything like that, or aerobic building, nothing. It wasn't really on my radar. I got to a certain point where you can't really just keep going after and after. It's like doing a 1 rep max every single gym session you go to. You know, your central nervous system would be absolutely fried. You wouldn't be able to cope with it very well. And I kind of learned that I needed to slow down to speed up. And a lot of people say it and you think, what the hell? I don't need to go slow to go fast. In this case, you do, because we're talking about your aerobic capacity and building your engine, essentially. So when we say running faster for longer, we're talking about increasing fitness so you can run at a faster pace for an extended period of time. Just before we dive into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty, one of the most important things I can say is consistency and patience. Having both of those two things together, because you've got to be consistent with the running. You also have to be patient, because these slower, easy aerobic runs can feel really slow and quite mundane, a little bit boring, but they're kind of the pieces to the puzzle to help you build over a period of time. Basically, it's not an overnight thing, and I just need you to be aware of that. It's like with all the programs on My Coach app, they are minimum for the running programs 10 to 12 weeks, because we need you to progress over 2, 3, 4 months to see the progress. It's not just something that can flick a switch and is going to happen really instantly. There are so many physiological effects of aerobic running, and I'm not going to go into them in detail because I don't think you necessarily need to know them to that extent. It's just you need to be aware that there's things going on in your body when you're running aerobically. So aerobically, we're talking zone 2 running, zone 3 running. What we always have to remember is your aerobic pace is very individual to you as a person. Now, we look at zone 2 and zone 3. Zone 2, 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, and then zone 3, 70 to 80% of your max heart rate. So zone 2 is at the lower end of your aerobic base. The way that you'd look at a zone 2 run, for example, is you should be easily allowing yourself to conversate. You shouldn't be breathless. It's a very steady, almost like a plod jog kind of thing. And these are runs that can be quite mundane and quite boring. A lot of the time they're used for longer distances. So I do most of my longer runs at zone 2, zone 3, anywhere in between, twice a week. Zone 3, 70 to 80% is the higher end of your aerobic zone, where, for example, you might have to talk in shorter sentences to keep on breathing and running at the same time. This is the range for aerobic endurance work, and this is where we are going to be able to build on our overall endurance. As I said at the start, and it's really difficult with social media, but we can't compare to other people and other people's runs and what they're doing and their paces and everything like that, because it's not going to help you in any way. Just as I would never compare to other people who I see, I wouldn't look at their paces, I wouldn't look at their heart rates. We're all very individual as people, and that's why I said at the start as well, my heart rate on runs, I've got it to a stage, it used to be maybe 155 to 157. I've got it down to 138 to 142 for an aerobic easy run, because I've worked in it over the past 3 years. It's not just happened overnight. And I think it's really important to remember just to not look too hard at other people and what they're doing and put yourself down for what you're doing, because everyone's at different journeys, everyone's at different stages, and it's just about putting yourself out there and being really consistent with those training runs. Something I've really wanted to touch on, and not to go into too much detail, and we definitely have this on all of the My Coach programs and everything like that, but is actually your speed work and your interval running. Now, my interval sessions, I think I dread them every week because they're so hard, and they vary for what I'm doing. Like sometimes they'll be super long and they'll be more tempo based. They could be like 8 1Ks. At the moment I'm doing a lot of high rock stuff, so there's some shorter distances in there, and it's a different variety of training to help you improve your speed. So when you are doing your zone 2, zone 3 aerobic runs, your longer runs, and then you're also doing your intervals and your speed work, when you come to doing a race or just a faster run, like a tempo run, you should be able to maintain a slightly lower heart rate, but also go faster. When interval sessions and speed sessions are done correctly, they will build your fitness over time. With the intervals, because you're training at a really high intensity for a smaller period of time, sometimes it can be slightly longer, it depends how big the intervals are, but it will lead to greater cardiovascular fitness over time. For example, if you're looking to do a 5K PB, you could break it down and you can do different sessions for that 5K PB. So for example, you could do 12 times 600 meters on a track with 60 seconds rest or 60 seconds jogging between at a pace that's slightly quicker than obviously what you do the 5K time in. When you're running at these very fast paces, your body does become more adaptable to doing those different things. And then with the rest periods, it helps your body work at a progressively higher intensity. And even though they're the sessions that are really difficult, I think with interval sessions, when I speak to people, they're always the ones like, oh God, like got an interval session. Once you've done that session, you do feel better. They're supposed to be grueling and absolutely horrific and hard. Of course they are, and there's different levels that you can do. It's smaller interval sessions, it's longer tempo sessions, it's marathon pace workouts. There's loads of different ones you can do, and I think they're absolutely vital if we're talking about speed for your running over a period of time. There isn't too much more that I want to touch in this video, and I feel like I could go on and on and on forever, but please comment what else you want to see from me, hear from me. I also need your ideas for upcoming challenges that you want me to do, whether they're with other people. I've done climbing, I've done judo, I've obviously done a lot of the like army marine fitness tests. Comment, let me know, and I'll get those filmed for you. I hope you found this video super helpful. Give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.